Hello, I'm Simon Owens, and today we're talking about why Instagram is struggling to retain its younger audience. This week, the New York Times published documents showing that Instagram executives are worried about losing teen users to rivals like TikTok and Snapchat. It's so worried that it launched a huge marketing campaign paying out hundreds of millions of dollars targeting young teen users with ads that were trying to lure them onto Instagram. It's also launched a number of new tools over the last few years, including both Reels and Stories. Why is it struggling so much with young users? I think it's because it's not doing enough to pay creators who create content that would appeal to those young users. These are lessons that other platforms have already learned. Take YouTube as an example. Over a decade ago, it launched its creator partnership program, and today it pays out over $10 billion of its revenue to creators. Basically, the way it works is that every time a pre-roll or mid-roll ad runs with a YouTube video, it gives that creator 55% of the revenue while keeping 45% of the revenue. Think about what happened as a result of that. It lured all these content creators and gave them this amazing incentives to not only continue creating content for YouTube, but to create better and more engaging content. And as a result of that, there are so many huge stars who have grown out of YouTube. Think about all the YouTubers you know who got started on the platform, everywhere from Mr. Beast to David Dobrik to Casey Neistat to the Paul brothers. You don't see huge stars like that on Instagram. Yeah, there are Instagram influencers, some of which have generated hundreds of thousands or even millions of users, but they're not huge brand names in the way that YouTube stars are. And even though YouTube feels threatened enough by TikTok that it launched YouTube Shorts, it's still done a much better job than Instagram at retaining younger users. There are so many teens today who aspire to be YouTube stars, who addictively watch YouTube, who tune in every week to the latest video from Mr. Beast or Liza Koshy. Snapchat has also spent several years working and sharing revenue with content creators. It started with its Discover tab and basically formed all these partnerships with media companies that appealed to younger millennials and created these advertising partnerships that made it lucrative enough for them to create native content for Snapchat. It then later wanted to kind of kickstart a new product called Spotlight, so it started sharing over $1 million a day with the creators who generated the most engagement on Spotlight. These revenue sharing opportunities have been so successful that they helped turn Snapchat around. If you remember, several years ago, Instagram basically copied Snapchat stories, and it was a huge blow to Snapchat. It started hemorrhaging users. It started posting, really bad quarterly earnings reports. And then Snapchat doubled down on paying creators, paying content creators, partnering with media companies, launching Spotlight. And today the company is doing much, much better. Its quarterly earnings reports show that it's not only growing its daily user base, but it's also growing revenue as well. Instagram, on the other hand, was way too slow to roll out monetization features for creators. It recently rolled out some e-commerce monetization tools for creators, but that still relies on the creators to actually drive the revenue. This isn't any kind of real revenue share with creators. In fact, Instagram has long been reluctant to share ad revenue with creators, and it's only just now starting to dabble in it. Just about all the ad revenue that's generated from those ads that show up in your Instagram feed, none of that is shared with creators. It recently announced a $1 billion creator fund to be paid out to creators, but that's still far less than what YouTube pays out. Remember, YouTube pays out upwards of $10 billion a year. And it looks like the Instagram $1 billion creator fund is only going to be geared towards video creators, but video makes up a very small portion of what shows up on Instagram. It still has images as its main bread and butter. Don't get me wrong, I think that the creator fund will definitely, lure more creators onto the platform and give them more incentive to create content for Instagram. I definitely think it's a step in the right direction. But ultimately, I think the platforms need to create better ways to share their ad revenue with creators. Otherwise, it's just going to be too easy for one platform to steal the creators of another platform, as long as it's just better at getting them paid. Like, why spend time creating content for Instagram when YouTube is going to give you 55% of all the revenue that you generate on that platform? Just like from a simple economics perspective, it just doesn't make sense. It's only natural that creators are going to be drawn to places that give them the economic incentives to not only create content for the platform, but to create better content, more expensive content, more premium content. And I think that's what Instagram is missing. It's got plenty of meme and lightweight content, but it doesn't have the kind of like really heavily produced, really well edited content that you'll find on places like TikTok and YouTube. Okay, that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching. If be sure to leave any questions or comments you have in the comments section, and definitely subscribe on whatever platform you're watching this on, and check out my newsletter. You can find it at simonowens.substack.com. Okay, see you next week.